Episode 3 of Autopilot Health, and here we go. It's been about almost 3 weeks now, and kind of been slacking because, I'm human at the end of the day. Got into my own head of, I need to have this perfect time to film, and it's like, no, I don't. Just literally coming on here, raw, authentic, no cuts, and we're just going to go with the flow. Last time we talked about calories, today we're going to talk about macronutrients, and I'll kind of give it to you because it's kind of obvious. Next time we're going to talk about micronutrients. And calories, like we talked about, is what you're going to see on the scale. Macronutrients, though, is how you look, and then micronutrients is how you feel. So, macronutrients, let's just kind of do a overall lesson here of what macronutrients are and kind of just give you the basic rundown. Not going to make this a crazy lesson, but more just going to tell you what to avoid and just how to do your macros instead of fearing all these sort of numbers. So pretty much you got proteins, carbs or carbohydrates, and fats. Those are your three macros. Now you need protein and you need fats and you do need carbs to a degree, but carbs is the one that you don't actually need to survive. They do help with your day-to-day life, but you don't actually need them. And wouldn't you know it, we live in a world now where most people are eating way too much carbs because carbs are in everything. Carbs are in pasta, carbs are in pizza, carbs are in cupcakes, brownies, cookies, Oreos, chips, fries, burgers, you name it. Like everything's got carbs nowadays. So it's very easy to overeat carbs. And that's kind of what made me want to make this episode and kind of do this whole series of going over all of them because this is the biggest problem. And this is probably what we're going to talk about for most of the episode because it's literally the biggest problem. People are not eating enough protein nowadays. They're eating way too many carbs and not enough protein. And then the thing is too, they're undershooting fat, which fat is what regulates your hormones and makes you feel good and gives you the energy that you need and just all these sort of functions. So some basic rules to go over. This is what I tell my clients is when it comes to protein, just stick to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's it. Now, the lowest you want to go is 0.82, and then the highest is kind of 1.2. But you can never really have too much protein. It's more just make sure you're hitting your floors, which we're about to talk about. So for carbs, I recommend between 150 grams to 250 grams, depending on your activity. If you're not really moving that much, keep on the lower end. If you have a high step day, so for me, for example, if I'm walking 20,000 steps, maybe even more, I'm pushing the carbs to the max because it just helps with recovery and just feeling better. And then the last one is fats. This is where for the majority of people, you don't want to go below 50, 55. And that's like a bare minimum. For females, maybe a little bit below that, but really fat is what's going to regulate your hormones. So the lower you go in fats, the more you're just pulling that rubber band, and it's just not going to be pretty if it snaps. That's all. So those are the basic rules. You're going to hear a lot about, these ratio splits and stuff, which they do work. But for me, I'm more hit my protein and then carbs and fats, I can fluctuate. So for example, there might be days where I have a lot of eggs and beef. So my fat's going to be higher that day. But there might be days where I hit my protein, like bare minimum protein, and I'm having a lot of Greek yogurt and maybe a little bit of beef. So I hit like my bare minimum on fats and my carbs are a little bit higher. So the point being is I kind of tailor it to around my day and I don't have a strict split. I just hit my minimum protein and then my carbs and fats, as long as I'm hitting my floors, can kind of fluctuate need be. But to bring it back to the beginning, when I was talking about we eat way too many carbs now, the reason this is a huge issue is because if we back up, macronutrients, macros, are what determine how you look. So your composition. So if you're eating a lot of carbs, carbs hold water weight. So that's why people who eat a lot of carbs look a lot softer than people who have a higher protein and making sure they're getting their fats and not overdoing carbs. Because a lot of people are extremely under eating protein. And I didn't even realize this until I started coaching and then also just watching other people in my life. It's like, wow, like No one is eating enough protein because, to be fair, unless you're conscious of it and you're tracking it, you don't have any idea because it's become so normal now to, for example, have a bowl of pasta and have like 20 grams of protein at most in it, or have a salad and have a little bit of chicken on top, or have a pizza and have a little bit of pepperoni. Like everything is so carb heavy that we don't even think about it. And unless, again, you're being conscious and intentional with it, you're not going to be hitting your protein. And if you're not hitting your protein, then that's where you really overeat carbs because carbs are so easy to eat. This is why when you're eating a steak or something, it's harder to really put down because protein is very, very satiating. This is why I recommend having 1 gram protein per pound of body weight, if not more, because especially if you're trying to lose fat, the more satiating food you can have for the same amount of calories, the better. Because we can argue calories in versus calories out all day. I agree with that. If you eat less calories than you burn, you're going to lose weight. But the problem is the quality of calories. Because if you have 1900 calories of carbs, not only are you going to completely ruin your hormones and your body doesn't get a sufficient amount of protein, but you are not going to be satiated with that. Think about it. When you open a bag of chips, it is so easy, talking from personal experience here, to eat the whole bag. The second you open it, the whole bag's gone. That's me. That's why I can't have chips in the house, because if I open that bag, it is gone. But a steak or eggs or protein heavy foods are the opposite. They're harder to eat, especially when there's fat involved with it too. So the point being is that it might feel tough at the beginning, but you have to eat more protein. And you really do, because you not eating enough protein, not only is it making it way too easy to overeat your calories, but it's also the reason why your body can't repair properly. And if you're not eating enough fat, then your body doesn't feel good because your hormones are out of whack, and it leads to a lot of problems. So again, it goes back to the beginning. Follow the simple rules. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 160 pounds, 160 grams of protein. Then have 150 to 250 grams of carbs, depending on what your activity level is. And then the rest, just fats, with a bare minimum of 55 grams. And if you do that, you'll be in a very solid spot. Now, yes, you can get more precise the more advanced you get into things. But if you aren't even tracking your calories or macros, just start there. Start there. Don't overcomplicate it, because that is the number one reason why no one starts anything, is because they think they have to have the perfect plan to be able to start. You are already not tracking anything. Just track something. Even if you can go from eating 80 grams of protein to 110, you're still ahead. You don't need a perfect plan. Just that is why I'm so also big, like we talked about last episode, on tracking your calories. You do not have to track your calories for the rest of your life. Don't go into it with a negative mindset. It's just more, you don't know what you don't know. If you don't track your food, you're just playing a guessing game, and no wonder you feel so stressed out when you're not seeing the scale move and you don't look any different in the mirror. It's because you're just guessing. It's like going to flight school and just going there for the full commercial and then just not tracking 1 hour and then just trying to tally it up at the end. Doesn't make any sense. You're giving yourself such a bigger headache than rather going to flight school and tracking every hour. So when you finish flight school, you know exactly how many hours you have. Same thing with your calories and macros. If you just track your food every day, you'll know exactly how much you're having. So if you keep it below how much you burn, you'll by default lose weight. And it's the same with your macros too. If you make sure you're hitting your protein, hitting your carbs, hitting your fats, eventually you're going to be able to eyeball food, and you won't have to do it forever. I was talking about this on a recent video that I made on Instagram about how you only have to get into really good shape once. And what I mean by that is when you really dedicate yourself to 6 to 12 months, maybe a little bit more, to seriously get into good shape, it is way harder to get into good shape than to maintain good shape. And in that process, you're going to learn so much about health and fitness that you'll understand that health is simple and convenience is the trap. And It's not as hard as it has to be. I will die by this. If you want to be under 20% body fat, just eating clean foods 90% of the time. And then on top of that, tracking your foods for a little bit just to understand how much calories are in what, you will forever be under 20% body fat. But the reason people are so high body fat percentage nowadays is because they're eating way too many carbs, so they're completely overshooting their calories, and it's poor food that they're eating, like burgers and pizza and all this sort of stuff. So not only are they way overshooting carbs and calories, but they're not getting enough protein, probably not enough healthy fat either, and then they're just in this bad situation where they don't like how they look, they don't like how they feel, and it's all because of two things, like I just said. If you just ate higher quality foods and then track those higher quality foods, because again, at the end of the day, calories is still calories. You got to know how much calories you're eating. But if you just do it for 6 months, 12 months, maybe even less, even if you just track your calories for 3 months and then you can just eyeball it from there, that's better than just not ever knowing. Because I don't know about you, but anytime I feel anticipation or anxiousness, it's from what I don't know. When I'm trying to guess or I'm waiting on a number that I'm guessing on, that's when I feel anxious. But if I just know, then it's like, cool. For example, today, I'm cutting myself 1900 calories. All my macros are perfect. I know tomorrow I'm going to wake up later. There's no if, ands, or buts. That brings me peace of mind. It's not like, oh, I had this today, I had this today. Maybe I'll wake up later. I don't know. We'll see. And then you do that for a year and you wonder why you're so stressed out and you just go back to your old routines because you don't actually have a plan. If you just do it properly once, 6 to 12 months, track your macros, which is tracking your calories, you will just feel amazing because you understand that health is really so simple. I track my calories pretty strict right now because I'm trying to get very, very lean. But like I said, if you just want to be under 20% body fat, I was literally for a period eating, now it was clean food, but I was eating as much clean food as I wanted to, like literally till I was full. And I was easily under 20% body fat, still had abs, pretty soft, but they're still there. And it was just because of the food I was eating. And that's how simple it is. But you only know that once you go through the process of learning the whole process. And that's the thing is, like I was saying before, if you track your macros, you're by default tracking your calories because there's 4 calories per gram of protein. There is 9 calories per gram of fat, and then there's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates. And then the reason I'm smiling is because there's one more macro that we haven't talked about yet. And I was kind of saving it a little bit. And that's alcohol. Alcohol, fun fact, has calories. 7 calories per gram of alcohol. So that means that if you're drinking as well, those are calories. And just like carbs, they're empty calories for the most part. So you can see now why we live in such a high carb world is because you got alcohol and you got carbohydrates. Now, alcohol isn't carbs, but it's very similar to the way that it doesn't fill you up. I'll tell you that much. So if you're having a lot of alcohol, just from a strictly body composition side, it's like having carbs because it's not really doing much. It's just empty calories. So that's why I personally recommend if you're trying to get into like serious shape, limiting alcohol to the bare minimum, or like I have for the past almost 7 months now, getting rid of it. Because your actions really show how serious you are about something. And for me, I'm getting in the best shape of my life in 2026. No ifs, ands, or buts. I was in very good shape last year and the year before, but this year we're going like next level. And for me, why am I going to do something like drink alcohol when I already have a specific, specific amount of calories? I'm not going to add alcohol on top of that. And then on top of that, it's going to ruin my sleep and it's not worth it for me. So if you truly want to have a cheat code, limit alcohol to absolute minimum or just get rid of it. It's really, really important. So those are the 4 macros. And the reason I didn't talk about alcohol at the beginning is because I wanted to keep it food at the beginning, and alcohol is kind of an add-on. But it is important to talk about alcohol because it's part of it. And in a world where a lot of people are drinking a few times a week, which you do you, it's your life, I'm just here to tell you that that might be the reason why the scale is not going down or why you don't look how you want to look. And that is the thing, is that I am not on here to tell you how to live life. If you want to eat as many calories as you feel like, you do you. It's your life. Pop off. Have a good time. But if you're complaining to me that you can't lose weight and you want to lose weight, then you got to eat less calories than you burn. And same thing with macros. If you don't like how you look and you look softer than you want to look, well, you do you. It's your life. Eat whatever you want. But if you want to look, more hard in the way of like less water retention, all that sort of stuff, then you're gonna have to eat more protein and make sure you're hitting your fat and probably limit the alcohol and really watch your carbs. So that's just it. Is it all comes down to your intention. I love the word intention because for me, for example, my intention is to get super, super lean. So that's why I am tracking all my calories to the salt, because I just don't want to have the guessing game. I just want to know I'm going to wake up lighter tomorrow. But again, if you just want to be under 20% body fat and you're not trying to get super, super lean, eat really whole foods, or I meant to say really clean foods that are whole foods, and track calories for a little bit just to see how much, a potato weighs, which equals calories, and how much beef weighs, which equals calories, and all these sort of things. And then once you can kind of eyeball it, you'll be under 20% body fat for the rest of your life. And then, of course, if you're over 20% body fat, it just comes down to you have to really focus on what do you want in life, because we live in a world where most people are eating 50% more calories than they think. And if you're over 20% body fat, it shows. Your body's a direct reflection of your decisions. So, again, it's your life. Pop off if you want to eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, and just live that life. You do you. But if you want to change, track your calories. And if you really want to, just track your macros. If you track your macros, again, 1 gram protein per pound of body weight, 150 grams to 250 grams of carbs, and literally just 55 grams of fat, you'll be good to go. And the thing is, too, you can literally just find a calculator, TDEE calculator, just search it up. There's a bunch online, and you just put like your activity level, height, weight, age, all that sort of stuff, and it'll give you all this. It's super simple. Just that's what I'm saying, too. Just start. There's no real like perfect calories or macros. Like there's a guideline, but you won't really know until you just jump in and start tracking your calories and macros and just figure out what works for you. Because again, that's what I found works for me and my clients for the most part. But for you, you just got to figure it out. And really, the nitty gritty isn't going to make that big of a difference. The only big difference is you starting. So start now, start messy, start scared. And it's just so important to understand that these things do matter. For example, your macros do matter in the way of if you want to look better, this is what you have to do. I'm just the messenger. I'm not the God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. This is just how it works. I figured it out. I help other people do it too. And I'm telling you. But again, it's up to your life. If you don't care about how your body looks, pop off, do whatever you want. But if you do, this is what you have to do. There's no secret. It is that simple. Just track your macros, aka your calories as well, and you'll see your body change. But you also have to do it for a consistent amount of time, because commitment will get you started, but consistency is what determines if you actually finish. So you have to do this for at least a few months. That's why I just say 6 to 12 months is a beautiful range to completely change your body and your health and your life and your mind. Everything. Once you change your body, you change your life. And if you do that for just 6, 12 months, you will understand everything to such a deeper level that it doesn't scare you anymore, or you never have to restart, because health truly is simple and convenience is a trap. And I'll break that down a little bit too. What I mean by that is so many things nowadays is just convenient and was made in the last 90 years. 90% of food nowadays in grocery stores, airports, all this sort of stuff wasn't around 90 years ago. So you think you have all this variety, but by the way, too, 550 plus of those brands are owned by 12 of the same companies. It's an illusion of choice, and they make you think that all these things are good just because they're in the grocery store, but they're not. And a lot of them, if not all of them, or damn near all of them, are all just filled with carbs and not any good nutrients or anything. So a good rule to follow is that if a mom or dad came from a tree or came from the ground, just eat those. And if it didn't, probably don't eat it. Or at least don't eat it 10%. Like, don't, let me back up here. 90% of the time, eat foods that had a mom or dad, came from the ground or came from a tree. And then the other 10 to 5%, eat whatever you want, your life. But if you really focus on the majority of just whole foods that are good and have nutrients and all that sort of stuff, which we'll talk about next episode, micronutrients, you will not only just look better, but you'll feel better, you perform better, and everything in your life will change so much. So that's why it's very important to take your health seriously too, because you don't even understand how good life can get if you just do these simple things. Like, truly, I have completely 180'd my life. I literally went from a vegetarian of 19 years, acne, skinny, pale, no real muscle, getting sick pretty often. I, was vaping, drinking, partying, doing all these sort of things. And it was normal because I was in high school, just after high school, all these sort of things. But I felt terrible. I was having the Domino's pan pizza, which is so good, but terrible for you. And I was having the goldfish and having all these foods that never really nourished me. And then once I made that change, which it all started back in 2023 when I started eating meat for the first time, I really saw how fear really is just an ocean wide and an inch deep, because I was terrified to start eating meat. But then I took that leap and I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. Got a little bit wet, but it wasn't that scary. And once I started doing that, I started taking the gym more seriously. I started to really gain a lot of size because, again, I was skinny for most of my life. And also on top of that, my acne wasn't as bad. Now, during this period, I wasn't eating the cleanest, but I started eating meat, which then led me down the road in early to late 2024 to really not only just eat better, but like eat extremely clean. Because I was eating okay for the first year and a half of eating meat. But then, and even when I was vegetarian, I was eating pretty clean compared to the average diet, but nowhere near how I eat now. And in mid 2024, I really started taking my nutrition seriously and my health just overall. I was really walking. I was having honey every day. I was having beef. I was having eggs. I was really just experimenting all this on myself. And that's where I started seeing my life change, because when I really started focusing on hitting my macros and tracking my calories for the first time, because I've always been skinnier slash leaner my whole life, but I wanted to put on a little bit of size and I wanted to do these things. So I just started tracking my calories and really just going all in on health and fitness. And that's where I started seeing crazy results. My skin was like really clearing up and my eyes were like looking amazing. They had like life in them again. And that's kind of more the micronutrient side of things, which we'll talk about next time. But it was true. And then I had a lot of energy and everything just started taking off. And it just showed me like, wow, like if this changed my life so much. And again, I came from eating decently healthy. Like I was still having goldfish and pan pizza, like from Domino's and stuff like that. But for the most part, I was still having eggs when I was vegetarian and eating somewhat healthy with fruit and vegetables. I realized a lot of people have been sick for so long that they don't even realize how unhealthy they truly are. And the best way I can describe it is, you ever gone swimming and got water stuck in your ear and you just couldn't get it out, so you just kept going on with your day with the water in your ear because you just couldn't do anything about it and you forgot it was even in there, and then all of a sudden, randomly throughout the day, it pops and you remember how good it feels to not have the water in your ear? That was me with health and fitness. I popped my ear in the way of, I felt so good that I forgot how good it felt to feel that good, which sounds weird, but that's so many people is they've been sick for so long that they forget what it feels like to feel this good. And that's when I started posting content, was back in end of 2024. And at first it was aviation stuff. And then by April, May of 2025, I was posting health stuff as well. And then that leads me to where I am today, of walking away from my career as a pilot to help other pilots realize that health is simple, convenience is a trap, and you don't understand how good life can get if you just do the simple things repeatedly for a long enough period of time. That's it. And I am telling you, like, I'm gonna deep dive into it next episode with micronutrients, but I haven't been sick in over 3 years. I have amazing energy. I haven't had one bad morning in the past 7 months from not drinking. So many positive things, and it's all because I took my health seriously. That's it. Because before that point, I was getting sick, every so often. I barely had the capacity to get through my day at work. I was malnourished for sure. I had acne, all these things. And when people tell me that, oh, health isn't that big of a deal, no, it fucking is. Because you just heard me and you just heard how much my life changed when I took my health seriously. Imagine your life. Seriously, imagine your life. Imagine all the things that you're going through in your life that I don't even think about anymore because I fixed my health. Running out of breath, going up the stairs, or even walking, not being able to get in or out of a chair or a couch or something because of your weight, not being able to just go for a quick run or get in the shower properly. Like, there's just so many things that I've heard that I don't even think about. And I'm not saying that from a place of cockiness or arrogance. I'm saying this from a place of, you can do the same thing. There is a version of you that is in shape and feels amazing. It's not like I'm over here talking about something that you can't have. You can have all of this. It is all within your control. That's why I'm so convicted about this, is because you can change your life at any second. It's just, if you are not doing anything to change your life, you are choosing the life that you currently have. I am telling you, you do not understand how good life gets when you just take your health and fitness seriously. And you do not have to be in the gym forever. You do not have to be tracking your calories forever. You don't have to be doing any of these crazy things. If you just want to have a healthier, simpler life, and again, not have to think about these things I just mentioned, and actually just live your life how we're supposed to live, it's just a few simple changes for a long enough period of time, and your life changes forever. It is that simple. Not easy, but it's simple, because it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. And I'm telling you, people don't understand how important health is until they lose it. You have 99 problems to have a health problem. They only have one. And I've had family members that unfortunately have passed away from cancer. I've seen other people pass away from health issues. And it's just, nothing makes me more upset than when I see people who have the ability to change and they choose not to. Because there's people out there that would die for what you have, and you choose not to get off the couch because you're too lazy. And I say that out of a place of love. Truly. Because you don't understand what you have until it's gone. That's just how humans are. We're very, very ungrateful in that way. And I'm saying this from my personal experience too. There's been many times in my life, not just in health and fitness, where I don't value something until it's gone. And I've learned to change that because I'm breathing right now. I'm not 6 feet underground. I'm healthy. I'm not sick right now. Like there's so many little things that if you're just grateful for that, your life will change. You do not need as much as you think to be grateful in this life. You have everything that you need to live an amazing life. You're just choosing not to use it. It costs less to eat less. It costs nothing to go for a walk. It costs nothing to go in bed on time and get your proper amount of sleep. It costs nothing just to do some body weight stuff and, just do that. You are choosing the life that you currently have with your actions. And if you do not change anything, you will always have what you've always gotten. Sounded weird. You know what I mean. If nothing changes, nothing changes. That sounds better. And I just hope you can feel my energy there because even in that moment there, I think about how many people are just on their deathbed or even have something that they can't control that immobilizes them. And so many people out there just choose to, on purpose, immobilize themselves because of their lack of discipline. You can do it. I know you can. That's why I make this content. You, though, are the only person from stopping you from doing it. It's that simple. Again, not easy. Life is fucking hard. Very, very hard. Does not get easier. Actually, only gets harder the older you get. But the only way that life gets somewhat easier is that if you get stronger. Because that's what fucks a lot of people up too, is that when they start doing the good thing, they're like, oh, bad things are still happening. Yeah, that's life. Bad things happen no matter what you fucking do. But if you only do the easy thing, you're going to have only bad things happen. But if you do the hard thing, at least you'll have good things and bad things happen. So you choose. Is today going to be day one where you finally make a change and take back your power because you are way more powerful than you're led to believe? Or are you just going to keep on saying one day until something happens where you can't reverse it? I'm not here to fear monger you or anything. I'm just saying I've had family members, I know people, and I've seen people who I don't know literally pray for what you have right now, and you're choosing not to use it because you're too lazy. Make a change. This whole rant I'm on right now is all out of love, man. Or girl, whoever's watching this. Tough love is needed in this world because everyone is too afraid to say what's needed to be said. And that's what needs to be said, is you need to get your shit together. Because if you don't, no one else will. No one is going to care about you enough to do the work for you. That's the beautiful thing about health and fitness, is that no matter how much money you have in this world, it is so valuable to have a good, in shape body because you can't buy it. And it's not even about showing it off. It's just the internal confidence of, wow, I did the work to earn that. Because, yeah, you can hire a personal trainer, you can hire a coach, you can do all these things, but they're not going to force you to work out. You still have to put in the work. You still have to eat clean. You still have to go to bed on time. You got it. I believe in you. I'm telling you, you don't understand how good life gets. And once that ear pops and you remember how good it feels to not be sick anymore, and you actually understand what it feels like to be alive again and have energy and be able to show up for your loved ones and just enjoy your job more and enjoy life and just be so freaking grateful for life because that is how life is supposed to be, you'll understand. But a lot of people won't understand this because they're still sick. And I don't even care if people think I'm crazy, because if I'm crazy, then I don't want to be what you are, because a lot of people have been so sick for so long, they actually defend it, which is wild to me. But it is what it is. And next episode, we're going to talk about micronutrients, which is exactly why I haven't been sick in over 3 years and why I feel amazing. But for now, we're going to end it here, and I'll see you next time.